Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Outside Insider podcast here on Philly Sports Network with myself, Liam Jenkins. You know the score by now. All things Eagles related, put inside a blender, blended up and given to you in a fruit smoothie. We're all about your 5 a day and this is definitely about 3 of them on a good day. We hope you're along for the ride. If you're watching on YouTube, you're thinking, wait a minute Liam, I've listened to this podcast for about a year now. Why are you on the screen all of a sudden? And again, your slick hair's not there. The simple answer is we're changing. We're trying to shake it up, have a bit of video as well. So if you're watching on YouTube, you've got something to watch as opposed to a static image. If you're listening, don't worry about this bit. I mean, the rest of the podcast is coming. But essentially, we're just giving you 2 versions. You've got the video version, you've got the audio, both the same, exactly the same, always the same, but with 1 bit of video as well. So if you're watching, obviously the 2 questions are, Liam, are you going to get a better camera? The answer is yes. And B, do you live in Harry Potter's cupboard? The answer is yes. We're in the process of trying to move and rent a flat right now, which I want to turn into a studio, have a green screen, get a proper camera, all of that good stuff. So it is coming, but you have got to bear a little bit in mind that as of right now, it is still the room I grew up in, which is, as I've said, Harry Potter's cupboard. But we're going to get straight into the Eagles stuff because this podcast has been on a slight hiatus and I do apologise greatly for that. 2 weeks ago, I was in London. I didn't mean to be. That sounds like I just appeared there and teleported. I didn't. What happened was I booked a concert months before. I think it was back in April, so before I actually went full-time doing this and totally forgot about it and then had to go. So I tried to pull off doing the stream. My friends weren't too happy about it, so Lord Christopher Infante took the reins on that one, smashed out of the park, but I couldn't record the podcast. And then this week, there was so much in the way of roster cut-downs and trims and breakdowns and all that sort of thing. It just made sense to do 2 separate live streams, one after the first wave, one after the second wave. So it didn't really make a lot of sense to just stick around and bring you guys like a podcast that would be relevant for a day while I cry about Clayton Thorson. And on that note, really quickly, before we get into the juicy bits and the fact that it's game week and we've got a lot to be excited about, a memoir for Clayton Thorson, because for 4 weeks, he may have been the greatest thing to happen to my personal brand. You know, I mean, a moment of silence for a man. He's now in Dallas. Let's not forget that to begin with. But for a few weeks, the Clayton Thorson song, the streams, the hype, we had a little hive of people that were just wanting him to do it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And a massive thank you to everyone that tuned into those pre-season streams, that came along for the ride and had a blast with us. Like, I wouldn't have even dreamed it'd have gone that well when I first had this idea a year ago. And to see over religiously like 200 of you in every stream was breathtaking. It was honestly a scene from the Titanic, as was Clayton Thorson's disappearance, which in Game 4 sort of sealed itself. I mean, you get shut out by the Jets 3-0. Somehow still more entertaining than last night's game. If you listen to this on a Friday, Thursday night, the Packers beat the Bears, and that was atrocious. But my bet came in under 23 points in the first half. I would have gone in the whole game, really. I should have been a bit more aggressive with that. But don't worry, guys. You're thinking, oh, LJ, I know you're a gambling degenerate. How can I be a gambling degenerate like you? I've got betting tips on the Eagles coming up a bit later in today's show, so don't even worry about that. But a big thank you again to everyone that did tune in to those live streams, because they were so much fun. We've got one coming on Saturday night as well. That's breaking down the entire week 1 matchup. We're going to have all of the boys in from the Philly Sports Network team, so just stick around for that. That's going to be fun. There are a lot of ways I could have started this show. One could have been to start off with a song commemorating the arrival of a new player to replace Clayton Thorson. And we've got a Rudy. Yeah, I could do that. Or there was something more pressing that's happened. Obviously the roster's been cut down, the shape-ups happen and that sort of thing. But there was something fairly prominent that took place a little earlier today. And mainly Thursday. I think it was like Wednesday and Thursday, the actual news popped out. And then we've just seen the aftermath of it come out today. And we're going to start with an LJ analogy, because that's how this podcast goes. Strap yourselves in. You've missed it. I've missed it. Don't worry. It's never easy finding out that your significant other has done the dirty on you. And I don't mean she's gone and bought you NBA 2K instead of NBA Live. Although, you know, that is heartwarming. I would play NBA Live to the day I die, because that's the cutest thing. They've tried, you know. This isn't trying, you know. They've just gone out in a club, done something regrettable. Maybe it was a drunken mistake. Maybe it was a little fondle. Maybe they've just been going whole hog and it's a boss from work. Alright, I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we've been either person A doing the cheating and needs a strict telling off, or person B, the guy on the receiving end who is then going to proceed to go into their feelings, listen to the 1975 for a year, and maybe not quite get over that. Jordan Howard, the other night, gets a call from his best mate saying, yeah, is your girlfriend home right now? He's like, no. Well, she's out in the club and there's some man called Melvin that she's talking to. And let me just tell you, Jordan, she's all over him. She's grinding like LJ on a Wednesday afternoon. There is no stopping that train. And whether you've heard it passively through a friend or experienced it firsthand, the reaction's the same. It's, what the hell do you do now? Right? And Jordan Howard's no stranger to this. He's been an underdog his entire career. But in this situation, if you get cheated on or something like that, you're left in a spot of, well, do I believe my friend? Do I punch my friend? Do I get angry at my friend? How does the friend know? It's either way, though, it's going to tarnish your relationship with the significant other. Right? There's no doubt in that no matter what happens in the next week or so, however you go about confronting said significant other, you're going to end up in a bit of a mucky puddle, aren't you? It's like, it's mess all over the floor. You don't know what's happened. So basically, if you haven't figured it out, Jordan Howard almost gets shipped. I say almost gets shipped. There was an offer sent to the Chargers, apparently according to Albert Breer of Monday Morning Quarterback, who on the scale of Jason Lackenfora to Ian Rappaport is certainly up near Ian Rappaport, alright? Albert Breer is no slouch. He's one of the most respected writers in the game. Someone that, along with Peter King during his time at MMQB, I massively looked up to. Like, I love the positivity they bring, the depth. It's like the Athletic before the Athletic. The stories about being inside the draft rooms, the war rooms with teams, the things that come out. You'd be surprised that the depth and the access they have is borderline unparalleled. So it's not that I'm taking Albert Breer's stuff out of context, but he tweeted the other day that there was essentially a trade submitted by the Eagles for a swap of Jordan Howard for Melvin Gordon and a mid-round pick swap. Yeah, that's not great if you're Jordan Howard reading that, is it? That's not great. Now, I heard from a little birdie. Again, I can't really say I'm a Chargers insider or anyone like that, but the sources that I do have, I tend to trust. I don't claim to be an insider. Actually, I do. It's in the name of the podcast, so that went well. But it's not my brand, I like doing analysis. I like settling down and telling stories, not in a kid's story but kind of way, but I tend to shy away from getting news reports out there, because if it is wrong, like, information gets out, as I always say on this podcast, it's for a reason. Whether that's an agent trying to set the ball rolling, whether it's a player trying to get some leverage, whether it's a team trying to get some leverage, or just get a base of the market, there's always an intent behind that information out there. It's not just an insider getting some info from a mate and going, I'm going to tell him before he tells me off. Like, that's not what happens. As much as unless you're Jason Lackenfora, then it's your daily job. That is your job. That is all you do. Sorry, Jason. But anyway, if you're Jordan Howard and you're reading that, it's not a good look. You've got to bear in mind that Jordan Howard, okay, day 3 selection, out of Indiana, comes in, blows the league up. He's third in rushing yards since entering the league, okay? He's had a really big chip on his shoulder. The Bears offense then kind of goes under this weird transition under Matt Nagy, right? And then Jordan Howard suddenly left out in the cold because, oh, Tariq Cohen's on the scene and he can catch the ball and jump and run and he's quick. Great, that's lovely and all, but Jordan Howard's still the guy putting up the chunky yardage and getting 9 red zone touchdowns, right? Like, all of his touchdowns, all 9 last year, were inside the 20, which says a lot about his production. And I remember putting a film room out before the Eagles even acquired Howard. It was I think the name of the film room was "Should the Eagles Trade for Jordan Howard?" Basically saying that his patience is great, his offensive line let him down. I think Matt Nagy was asking them to do a little bit too much in that first season, and it was just like dominoes falling over left, right and centre. So I cut Jordan Howard some slack. I thought he was a perfect fit. Then he was go out and trade for him. Perfect. You think, you know what? Contract year for Jordan Howard. He goes in from I think it was 26th ranked run blocking offensive line last year into a top 5 unit in that metric. He's going to have a lot more paths cleared for him. He's going to have to do less work behind the line of scrimmage. This should be a breakout year for Jordan Howard. Excellent. Then the Eagles go and draft Miles Sanders. And it's not that this is like a mid-round or a day 3 pick. This is a guy that's a second-round selection. right? This is a second round pick. Big guy, big Miles Sanders, Penn State, sat behind Saquon Barkley for years, has about the wear on a tyre that is brand new. It's barely come out of the box. It still smells of rubber. It's the equivalent of getting a new book and you smell the book and you're like, have I got a book to smell just for video purpose? I do have a World Cup sticker album from 2018. Is it completed? No, but we're gonna... Doesn't smell new. That's Corey Clement, yeah? What you want is a Miles Sanders, barely used at Penn State, and in his time where he did touch the field, absolutely prolific. I think he had over 300 yards after contact, very elusive, very slippery. We saw that during public practices. And a second round selection, the same pick, the 53rd overall pick that the Eagles used to get LaShawn McCoy back in 2009. And Howard suddenly goes from being the guy for a year to, I'm kind of just a placeholder until Sanders is ready for that role. Which is okay, alright? It's not the end of the world. It could be better, it could be worse, but it is what it is. Then this happens. Then you've gone from being traded after falling out of place in Chicago to then having Miles Sanders drafted to be your replacement to then being potentially shipped to LA. Now, Doug Peterson's gone out of his way, bless him, and he's told reporters on Friday the first thing they did was tell Jordan that that's not the case. Now, I would be very interested to hear the timing of that. Have they done that before the report's gone out and said, hey, Jordan, there could be a report saying this is going out? Have they reacted to the report? Or is there more there? The actual quote from Peterson on Friday was, we feel great about Jordan. It's why we brought him here. We actually went to Jordan when the report came out. So the second it came out, they went, Jordan, hang on, buddy, it's false, mate. Didn't come from us. No comprendo. Not from me. Not Dougie P. So just wanted to reassure him that this is the reason why you're here. What do you mean? Just wanted to reassure him that this is the reason why you're here. You're here to help us win games, not listen to trade spec. Jordan Howard is going to be running like a man possessed on Sunday. And if he's not, I will be stunned. Honestly, the guy averaged 4.3 yards per carry from shotgun last year, where the Eagles run the base of their offense from, if we look back at the last couple of years, while it is, I suppose, subject to change in some ways. That guy is going to be seething, like fuming, as if he has just been slapped around the face with a wet fish, right? Now, we don't know how long Jordan Howard's going to keep RB1 for. We don't know. This could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a year. It could be 2, never know, might stay. But the fact that Miles Sanders is breathing down his neck, and he's been passively informed that he could have been... I would have rather the Eagles said, hey, do you know what? It could happen. Play angry, be better. And I know that's probably a poor way of management. But it's better than finding out from a friend. You know, like, if someone cheats on you, I'm sure you'd much rather they own up and go, hey, you know what? I did a boo-boo. Blame it on the alcohol, whatever, I'm emotional, blah, blah, blah. Do the Antonio Brown a million reasons to be sorry. Why not? You know, go all out, save that relationship while you still can. You do not wait until the report comes out. If this is legit, it might be the report's false, this could all be bridge under the water. Even so, he's going to be pissed off because someone's told him a lie, and he's pissed off because he's out of the picture. Grr, right? That's fair. But if it is true, and that is, I suppose, a reasonable if. It wouldn't be surprising to see Howie. That's a very Howie offer, isn't it? You know, it's a very undercutting offer here. And if that is true, again, it's closing the gate after the horse has bolted, right? There's no denying it. The horse has ran about 17 miles that way, ran over an old woman, and is now being chased by police. It's too late to close the door. It's way too late. The damage has been done. But if you do the damage and then go, hey, you know what? I made a mistake tonight. I got way too drunk and it was an old friend or whatever, and you just own up, you be accountable. I would have rather that if it is genuine. So I'm a little bit on the fence as to how that's been handled, but either way, I feel like Jordan Howard is going to be very, very much a fuming young man. Like, if you talk to Jordan tonight, what's on his playlist? It's not Post Malone's new album. It's not the 1975's new song. It's not even Beyonce. It's just Slipknot. It's Metallica. It's Mastodon. It's AC/DC. He is on a rage level right now. And I'm all for it. Like, if he breaks it, I would love for Howard to have a fantastic first year in Philadelphia, get out, get himself a big payday, because he deserves it. He's been overlooked since day one, extremely productive since day one. You can argue there's very few backs that equal his production. The numbers don't lie. The tape certainly doesn't, because I've broken it down. So I love what I've seen out of him. But someone might have been lying to him. And I would be very upset. Now, if you go one or two ways, do you go, do you know what? Screw it. Take Sanders. I'll sit back. I'll keep, he's had a lot of wear down over the last few years. Do you just say, hey, do you know what? I'm going to look after myself. Give it to Miles. I'm sitting back. I'm going to twiddle my thumbs. Maybe play some Candy Crush. Or do you do something else? Or do you go and do something about it? Do you go out, step up, and dominate? And that is what I think Jordan Howard's going to do. I think he's going to absolutely rip the NFL to shreds if afforded the opportunity. If the Eagles do not give Miles Sanders that RB1 role, if the Eagles don't give him that platform to begin with, I genuinely think Miles Sanders is going to be running like a man possessed. And that's only good things for the Birds. That is only good news for an Eagles offense that's coming up against the Washington defense that ranks 17th against the run. I'm just saying, I think this is going to be a catalyst for very, very strong rushing production from Jordan Howard. But if you're new around here, guys, if you enjoy this sort of content, if you love what we do here at Philly Sports Network, make sure you hit that subscribe button, alright? I can see you. You're on YouTube, you're thinking, you know what? This LJ, now he's got something here. He's talking Jordan Howard. He's got video. Hit subscribe. More importantly, though, if you're on Apple Podcasts, or even better if you're not, if you could rate it 5 stars, that would be phenomenal. I forgot to do the spiel at the beginning where we're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and just about everywhere else. But it's there now, you've had it. And we're now going to get on to my favourite part of the show. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the part of the show where I go through my mentions. I go crawling through my mentions and I find out the questions you have been asking me, aka today, right? This is called Thank You Next. If you're new to the show, it is in conjunction with Ariana Grande's hit single, Thank You Next, where she dances around in Christmas lingerie, if I remember rightly. Can't say the same here, but I do have an Eagles beanie. I might have to put that on for thank you. Do you know what I'm going to do it? I'm going to put the beanie on. It's not just for show. Is it going to ruin my hair? It might. But if you're on YouTube, oh, you're getting an experience now. A beanied up LJ. I look like I'm going to Millwall and I'm going to start punching people. This is horrifying. This is, on a scale of like 1 to Bachelor, it's a -3. This is horrifying. Oh, I hope the WCW is not watching this. Anyway, thank you. Next, we're going to start off with Geordie Fighter 14. He says, who is the best on offense and how is the PSN Eagles crew? Eric, Brian and Chris is mostly who I'm talking about. Oh, Thomas has been left out there. Thomas is going to be very upset. Who is the best on offense? If we're talking like who's going to lead the Eagles on offense, I think we're going to have to turn our attention to maybe Zach. I mean, Zach Ertz is still the guy, right? If you could, maybe Lane Johnson, but Zach Ertz for me is still the guy that's going to hit the ground running. Led the Eagles in receiving yards, had 33% of targets to the top 6 receivers thrown his way last year. I think that's the guy we're going to be looking at this year. How are the PSN Eagles crew? They are lovely. They're going to be in our stream tomorrow, which I think is going to be called Prepping the Birds with LJ and the Lads. It's a very catchy title, I know. That'll be Saturday at 8 PM. Andrew, so at 70cow89 says, how does this year's hype video compare to previous years? Very, very good question. Now, it's a good hype video. I'm going to rank these in a separate article over at Philly Sports Network. I still like the one with the Scottish band that go, it's thunder, it's lightning. Like that was class. I don't know, I can't remember the song, but I think it was like 2013. That for me was the best one. It was, and we will rise. That was sick. I like that one. Also the one when they're in the car and they're talking about audibles and Chip Kelly. That was a very good one. I like that one. I still think 2017's was good, where it's like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, and Brian Dawkins is narrating it. That, for me, is the very best. This is third. I think the hype videos was a lot better. The 10 to 15 second segments they put out of Deshaun Jackson going, yeah, I'm ready. Zach Ertz being, oh, I'm ready, man. Oh, I'm ready, right? They were better than the actual hype video. That's just my hot take on that one. Chad Wychet, one of our long-term listeners, I think he's been here since year one, says, thoughts on a CB rotation for the year? I love it. I think that as of right now, it's unfair to pin a starting role on someone like, you know, we don't know what Ronald Darby's going to be. I think week one especially, we don't know what he's going to be. Outside of that, Avonte Maddox has got versatility, Sidney Jones has got versatility, and they need to get the guy that led the team in interceptions on the field. It's that simple. So I want to see more from Rasul Douglas. I'd like to see him on the field, and obviously when Cravon LeBlanc that's new. When Cravon LeBlanc returns to full health, that's obviously massive for this team. So I think it's a battle of two halves, but having that rotation there, you've got to do it. You've got to move guys around, find out where the matchups are strongest. If you've got speed, get in a guy like Sidney Jones or Rasul Douglas who can wrap up tackles. If you've got someone like, for instance, week 2, obviously you've got Julio Jones, like, can the Eagles then match up Ronald Darby on him? When you get inside the red zone, you go for the more ball hawk guys, or someone like Avonte Maddox who hits a bit harder. So I think that would be the way I would play it, but I'm not Jim Schwartz. Thank you. Next, we've got another question from Chad who says, who will start a game first, Daniel Jones or Dwayne Haskins? Dwayne Haskins, because for some reason New York is besotted with Eli Manning, and I really don't understand why. I never have. But again, that's probably why I'm not there. Although I still remember, on that note, while we're talking, I remember every year the Giants have a press conference and they filled out, so it was like a call-in, right? So you call into the conference. And there was one last year where I was the only person that called in for a solid 5 minutes. And you think about all the beat writers, like your big names, like your Zach Rosenblatts and your Cheryl Capadias and Zach Berman, like they're all there and they're not. And I thought I'd be silent. And Pat Sherman was on the other end going like, oh. I was like, oh great, okay. So I don't know. I'm interested. I think it'll be Haskins. I can't see Keenan performing too amicably, but all it takes is a few losses. Even at the defense's expense, he'll be on the field. But then, I had to read this out, and I don't think this is a question to me, as it was a direct response to Chad. But he said, who did Chase Daniels play for? Chicago. He plays for Chicago, alright? He plays for Chicago. But then I'm only messing with him, like, nothing. That's just funny. Thank you. Next, so Mike Marich says, only one of the following can have a breakout year. Who do you pick? Sidney Jones, Dallas Goedert, Derek Barnett. Tough one. Sidney Jones. It's not tough at all. Dallas Goedert has got a man in front of him. Derek Barnett. I feel like Barnett needs one. Like, if Barnett doesn't have a breakout year, I'm concerned at this point. Then you're entering year 4 with alright production. Like, if you define Derek Barnett in one word, right? Give it like think of a word in your head, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Is that word alright? He's good? Great? It's not amazing, great, fantastic, euphoric, dominant, explosive, quick. It's average, injured, bend. So I think he needs one. He also asks, if JP comes out and really shows his age, do you think this coaching staff and organisation has the stones to bench him for Dillard? Now, I've got some stones here. These are chewing gums. I've got the stones to bench him. Do the Eagles coaching? No, they don't. The reason for that is, I think, if you look at last year, where Peters wasn't playing great for a stint, neither was Johnson, and they took out Wisniewski, and we all know how that's turned out. It's basically the weakest, gets taken out first. So I think Peters has so much of a reputation, so much of an influence and a leadership aspect where you can't really bench him, so I wouldn't foresee him being out of the picture. Shout out next, so a big thank you next from Ignatius813. KRG says, thoughts on linebacker rotation, Bradham, Brown and who in base? Also Bradham and who in nickel package? For my money, I prefer LJ Fort because he shares your name and you are the best man I've ever met. He didn't say that. He said because of his speed and coverage abilities, but I am rapid, so who's the real winner here? My thoughts, I think it's really good. I really like that TJ Edwards has made this roster. I think, he earned it during the preseason. Even happier that my guy Alex Singleton and Boston Scott, both of my stunning legends, made the practice squad, right? That's the content we come for. That's what we like to see, right? But on the current rotation, obviously there was this weird thing where Bradham was absent from the final. He just didn't get on the bus. Like, I love that. Like, he's just there. We're just not getting on the bus. Like everyone else is getting on the bus, going up the I-95, going to New York, and Bradham's like, Nah, just not showing up today, lads. Just going to stay at home. 2K20's coming out soon. I've got to finish his franchise sooner or later. I love that. That's such a good bit of just Nigel Bradham level tomfoolery, isn't it? I mean, he's been arrested at an airport for possession of a gun, got into a fight over an umbrella, and now just misses the bus because he can't be arsed. Now, apparently it's because he was ill, so I'll cut him the benefit of the doubt that if you're ill, you genuinely phone in sick to work. You don't just, you know, not show up. That doesn't happen, right? Am I the only one? No? Maybe it's different for footballers. I don't know. But other than that, I think that the base package as of right now for me would probably be Bradham, Brown. It's got to be Nate Jerry, if I'm honest. I think the team are really high on him. But I think Nate Jerry is moving to middle linebacker. I've said this for a while. He's bulked up 30 pounds in 2 years. I think they're going to try and move him inside. So don't be surprised if that happens. If that is the case, while Camu's out, who obviously double, you know, special teams tackles leader guy, I'm a massive fan of. I used to have like 2 film rooms on this channel, and on phillysportsnetwork.com he's had a wealth of coverage from myself. While he's out, I think it's going to be LJ4. If we don't see Jerry, it's because he's lined up behind Brown in the middle. I think it'll be LJ4. And finally, from It's Tarek, or Taco, thoughts on how he's trying to trade Howard for Gordon. I hope you've listened to the first 15 minutes of this podcast where I dove into that one. But guys, that is it for Thank You Next. Thank you so much for taking the time to send in your questions. If you want to do so for next week's pod, I'm getting it. My head is so hot, right? With I've got hat hair. Our new video was about, like, Jesus. Oh, that is, woof. Okay. Settle yourself down, Liam. If you want to submit your questions, guys, at Liam Jenkins PSN is the place to do so. That is the only place, alright? And just hashtag it, Thank You Next. Or DM me, because they tend to get lost in my mentions. Like, DMs are probably better. It's a more secure way. It's like taking a check down route instead of going for the home run. But if you go for the home run, I might... I mean, it's the same. It is, but it's literally the same. But just DM it if you want. All right, Liam Jenkins PSN on Twitter. If you're not following me, I'm gonna cry. But that brings us to another interesting point, which is the Vegas line for this week. All right, and I'm gonna do like a couple more features on this show, so don't go anywhere just yet. All right, I'm looking at you. Do not even think about it. No. So, talking of Vegas, alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Vegas lineup now, at least what it is with the bookmaker I use, which I'm assuming is a little bit different to the American ones, but it's roughly the same sort of stuff. It's very rare you see mismatches, otherwise I'd be a millionaire by now, which I frankly am not. But the Eagles, oh my god, that's risen again. I think they started at 8.5. The line's now risen to 10. It's now officially the biggest line of the week ahead of the Seahawks with a -9.5. over the Cincinnati Bengals. If you're new to this podcast, every week for game days, I do give you betting tips. If you take them, fair enough. If not, don't. But 2017, we were, you know, we're making it rain. Right, that on video looks good. On audio, that just sounds... I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. That's a bit annoying, isn't it? This isn't going to get monetized at all, is it now? Moving swiftly on. Eagles, Redskins, 10 points. I would be tempted, if I'm honest, to take the over, which is 44 points. I think the average for a game is at 47. It wouldn't surprise me to see like a 23-10 win for the Eagles. I think that's very understandable. I don't know, if I'm going to bet money, I lean towards the Eagles. I think that line is inflated. If the line was 9, if you can get the line at 9, absolutely go for it. Just go straight on, take off the rubber band, smack it down, go all in, alright? If you are a bit more conservative and you're like, Liam, I don't have enough to take off the rubber band, I'm like you, alright? I'm just, you know, I'm finding my way through life. A little bit of a flutter at the weekend. I'll be more leaning towards a correlated parlay of the Eagles and the over, or just the over. For me, I think the over's the safest bet. I think Washington will score. Actually... Yeah, we'll do. Okay, I'm gonna go the Eagles -10. I think they should cover that spread very easily. They're at home. We know the Eagles on a neutral field should probably be about 6-7 points over Washington. That home field advantage for Philly is key. They are now up in the series. I think the main key for Washington is going to be trying to assume there's some rust out of Carson Wentz and stop him early. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I think Ryan Kerrigan's their best chance of doing it. They do have a very ferocious pass rush. If you've been around this YouTube channel the couple days, you would have seen a video up kind of going into the players on said pass rush who could be providing a little bit more than hoped for. And, you know, it's very young. They're all under 25. You've got Matt Ioannidis alongside Allen. You've now got Montez Sweat there as well. So it's a very, very dangerous group. So the Eagles' offensive line, especially Big V, are going to be tested. But I think if they try and get after Wentz, you're just going to open up the screen game to someone like Miles Sanders. You're going to open up the slants to a guy like Zach Ertz. I think there's too much danger on this offense. They should cover. They should cover by 10. So it's not a lump job. It's not a bet your mortgage and your cat and your friends' clothes and your Supreme Box logo shirts just yet. It's a $20 bet. You know, if I'm going to call a substantial lump, which would be, that's a lot of money to put down, Liam, because that's, you know, triple digits. 50 is like, I'm confident. A $20 bet for me would be like, I like it. I'm leaning. You know, I'm leaning. So that would be where I look at if you are thinking of betting this game going in towards week 1. The other thing I wanted to do today was essentially predict the Eagles stat leaders for 2019. I think we've gone through the regular schedule, we've gone through the players to watch, all of that content you'll find on the channel. I'm trying to save a lot of it for the live stream tomorrow, so I don't want to ruin too much, but I did want to just go through the guys who I think will be leading the charge in every statistical category in 2019. It's a fun thing, right? It's a fun little prediction. So we're going to start with passing yards, who's obviously going to be Nate Savage. Got you there, didn't I? See, bloody did it again. Carson Wentz, that one doesn't really need an introduction there, does it? It's clear that's what's going to happen. Was there ever really any doubt? I think he's in a very good spot to surpass his total of 3,296 from 2017, given the offense that he now has. Rushing yards, it's a 2-horse race. But Clement's still in it. He's not. I want to say Miles Sanders. I feel like by the end of his rookie year, the team will have slowly transitioned into getting Miles Sanders the ball. He would have had a few breakout games. But Jordan Howard's still probably going to be the guy. Still going to be the guy taking the bulk, like the third down snaps and inside the red zone. Like, that's his role. But if we're going to lead the team in rushing yards, I think he's got the most potential there. The Eagles ranked 29th in the league in both rushes of 20 yards with 7 and rushes of 40 yards with 0. Now, Sanders had 322 yards after contact last year on 81 carries. I think that's an area where the Eagles are going to want to try and improve, and he's the perfect back to do it. Jordan Howard doesn't have that 5th gear. He's sort of like your Motor Trend GM 2019 Truck of the Year, right? He'll get up to 3rd gear, he's nice and secure, he's not going to drop it, he's just going to chug along. But Miles Sanders is your Porsche. He's a little, is that the 9th Fast and Furious? Why are there 9 Fast and Furious films? It's pathetic. Yeah? Why do you need... How furious can you be after 9 films? It's more like slow and boring, alright? It's not fun. This isn't even a rant about the Eagles. I'm just so vexed that there is this many Fast and Furious films, alright? Paul Walker isn't even... You know, bless his heart, and rest in peace, can't even star in them. They're still carried the franchise on, despite milking it and making this heartbreaking scene where it all channel off and they close the curtains and everyone will remember the franchise for how great it was. Oh, it annoys me that they're milking it. Like, let the franchise go on with a legacy that will be remembered, that Paul Walker's legacy will be. Don't tarnish it with just this sloppy mess over it. It's pathetic. I'm not happy. Alright, anyway, ranting aside, Jordan Howard is the 2019 Truck of the Year. Miles Sanders is your Porsche. It'll be drifting around. It'll lead the team in rushing yards, alright? On to receiving yards. It's tricky because the Eagles now have the best deep threat in the league. They've got a dominant number 1 receiver. But to me, I still think the guy's going to be Zach Ertz. Again, 33% of passes he caught last year that were sent to all top 6 receivers. And the idea of a 1,000-yard season for an Eagles receiver seems so alien. Purely because it is. Like, in this offense where everything is so selfless and it's built around getting the ball out quick. And it's built around target share, right? And getting everyone the ball and distribution and getting guys open. And if KD can't play, well, you've got Steph Curry over there. If Steph can't get open, you've got Clay in the middle. That is where this offense thrives. So, although Clay doesn't play centre, but we'll forget that. I think as much as D-Jax's arrival is going to help, as much as Jordan Howard and Sanders will help, all it's going to do is expedite this space over the middle and force defenders to key in on running backs and man up. And if it's man coverage, Ertz should win. And he should win a lot of these matchups against nickel corners and linebackers. So, to me, it's comfort 101. You know, quarterbacks go where they're comfy with. There's a reason why some of these tight ends are the way, like George Kittle, for instance, right? So, I'm still saying Zach Ertz will lead the team in receiving yards. In offensive touchdowns, though, I think Alshon Jeffrey, he caught 9 in 2017, 6 last year, wasn't too happy about it, understandably. And even though there is baby Alshon behind him, I think that he's going to do it again. He's going to lead the way in touchdowns. I think Ertz is going to be the guy that gets the most yards. I think most yards per reception will be Jackson, but you've got to go to what you know. And the Eagles know Alshon Jeffrey can get the job done. So that will be my leader for total offensive touchdowns. Tackles, Malcolm Jenkins. He had 97 last year, which tied the lead with Nigel Bradham. But we'll see where he goes. I think he can break 100. He didn't get the payday he deserved. He should be playing with a chip on his shoulder. I think Malcolm Jenkins is going to lead this team in tackles. Sacks, tackles for a loss and quarterback hits all go to the same guy, and that's Fletcher Cox, because it's Fletcher Cox. You don't really need another example there, do you? We're then going to go to Party's defence from Ronald Darby, where I think he had 12 last year, and given that he can stay healthy, he should get more than that, because he'll be fully healthy this year. Whether or not he can stay healthy is the thing. The guy's missed so many games in 2 years. It's worrying. You know me, alright? I've not been a fan of this move since day one. I've shouted it down. There's been videos, podcasts, articles, think Fast and Furious ran, but up there, alright? I wasn't a fan of this move, but I do think that if he can stay sticky in coverage, if he can stay healthy, he's going to lead the team in passes defence. But the Eagles did struggle massively in getting interceptions last year, and I think the one guy that's going to really step up this year will be Avonte Maddox. He had a pair last year, was absolutely ferocious as a rookie, as a nickel cornerback that played just about everywhere. I think he's going to do some great things. I think he really is. If he can start at the nickel spot, he's going to get some nice production in terms of turnovers, as he did during his time at Pitt. And in kick return yards, Darren Sproles, because it's sentimental value, and if the Eagles don't let Sproles do kickoffs, is there really a point bringing him back? I mean, he's stuck behind Clement as it is. You've got Sanders. You don't really need Sproles. So it's sort of like, just going back to your ex for the fun of it. There's no real value. It's just because it's there. You know what I mean? It's not good. So that would be my predictions, guys. I'd love to know yours down in the comments below. And before we come to an end on this podcast, there is one more thing that I want to do. And that's just essentially projecting the result of the game. Eagles win. It's that simple. Eagles win. Doesn't matter by how much. I'd like to think they cover the spread if we're going to go Vegas level. But they should win. This is an easy way to start the season. The Eagles have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. But this is a must-win game. A must-win game to start with a bang. If they don't start fast here, they're in trouble. And that is the other angle I wanted to get to before we start. So you thought I was going to end it. He's roped you back in by the throat. Not the throat. We're not violent here, alright? We're lovely people. Starting fast. Starting fast. Why is it? I feel like I'm doing a business bit. Why is it important? Yeah? You tell me. I don't give bad jobs, for those of you who watch the UK office. But why is starting fast important? You look at last year, the Eagles in first quarter points were basically atrocious. It was awful. There was no other way to even really look at it. It was a real pain. It was every single bloody game. It was just bad. Just bad. No matter where you look at it, it was absolutely bad. So this year, it's not only important for Mike Groh, who I've made excuses for all off season long, pretty much, saying that now he's had a full off season with Wentz and a full off season with the offense, and he's got a full season with the scheme, and everyone's around and healthy, and there's not having to change quarterbacks midway through because Nick Foles won a Super Bowl and they're going to charge it and keep it on. That's gone. So Mike Groh's priority, if Mike Groh fails the season and the Eagles don't start fast, then we've got a problem. Then we need to address it. But as of right now, obviously we've got to look at it through the lens of the fact that they averaged 3.2 points per game in the first quarter under Mike Groh last year. It's got to be better. It just has to be better. Now, why? The reason is you only get one chance for a first impression. Think at how quick that 2017 team started. And not just in terms of getting points on the board, but the confidence, the swagger that was felt. That wasn't there in 2018. Other than that game against the Colts, where they somehow... That was one of my favourite games of the year. Bye, Andrew. Like, I miss you already. I loved it. It was a great game of football, both sides of the ball. But week 1, week 2, week 4, Panthers, Titans, it was a train wreck. Absolute train wreck, right? So, all I can think of is another LJ analogy. I've told this one before. You only get to make one first impression to set that tone early. Eagles in 2017 started out hot, they had a swagger, they moved the ball down the field. 2018, little bit unsure, you had the Bucks take advantage of them, they stifled them early. Not just offensively, but defensively. Let's not forget that Deshaun Jackson touchdown, alright? It happened. The Eagles were in trouble. But LJ is the same. Good first impression. You know, WCW 101, who's been referenced a million times in this podcast. It's been over a year now since that went wrong, and you know, first impressions there were great. I think I did myself a good job. We were into the same things. I like The Office. She liked The Office. Was very David Brenty. Relationship before that, where on a first date I went to say the girl's hair looked nice, and I said, "Is that your hair?" That set the tone. That was a train wreck. Absolute train wreck. That was awful. Absolute train wreck of a relationship. Yeah? Although, to be fair, more recently, asking someone what their favourite sound in the world was, perhaps, I mean, maybe this is just a 7-point first quarter. I don't... Either way, this is going to change. Eagles need to start fast, and if they can start fast against Washington, and again, I don't just mean in terms of points. Look at the Bears, alright? The Bears, who... Eddie Pinheiro made a kick last night, his first field goal, and you'd think the Bears had just won the Super Bowl. You really would. They went through the roof. I could hear the chants and the screams from here, and I'm on the other side of the bloody ocean. It was bizarre, because there's been such a stigma since Jay Kelly and the double doink. They had tryout after tryout after cut after cut. They finally find a guy that's hesitant there naturally from fans, and he's alright. So, if they'd have missed that kick, how different would that game have been? Well, obviously, no, they lost. It didn't matter. But the point stands the same, right? So, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, if the Eagles start fast and they can get that ball rolling early, there is every chance they win this game. Every chance. By more than 10 points. By covering the spread. And with that in mind, I'm going to leave you to enjoy your weekend. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed the video version of this podcast and my dodgy haircut and the awful TV behind me, let me know down in the comments. That would be brilliant. I'd absolutely love to know. If you want little segments of everything I talk about, just broke up and put in like 4 separate videos, I can do that. Let me know. I'm just cooking in the kitchen. I need you to tell me the recipe. If you're listening on iTunes, if you're listening on Spotify, Spreaker, anywhere, thank you for tuning in. It means the absolute world to me. This is my first full season now as a full-time writery, podcastery, video man, person, boss. And it's a dream come true. And I can't wait to get stuck in and give you guys more of the content that I know you love. So thank you for all of the support. It means the absolute world to me. Enjoy Eagles football. I'll see you soon.